Hello, everybody, and welcome to another community fortress. This is the fortress of Primebronze. Primebronze, an Amazon fortress, I would say, in a good biome focused on scholars, sent in by jahwffrey over on the Discord. If you would like to send in a fortress for me to have a look at on this show, jump into my Discord. There's a link down in the description of this video where you can send in a fortress for me to have a peek at. Jahwffrey here has done just that via sharing on Google Drive. You could also upload the fortress directly in a zipped folder via just Discord itself if it's small enough. However, if you are using a bunch of mods, just please pack in your mods folder with the game itself, or with the save itself, just a copy of your game's mods folder so I have the highest chance of being able to load it. This particular fortress is a second layer cavern fort, so let's dive in. Up here on the surface, you can see that it is very much a very good biome, as we have the lovely egg-laying feather trees up here on the surface. Actually, one of the lightest materials in the game. Fun fact, great for barrels and bins and such. There is a bunch of wasting stalkers over here. I'm sure they're friendly. They just kind of live there, it appears. Over here, we have a small tower, which goes up a few layers, and all the way up at the top are a bunch of bees. Fun fact, if you actually put your beehives close to your tavern and they sting all your dwarves, the dwarves will constantly go into the hospital and get their the wounds cleaned, and it's actually a pretty good way of training up doctors quickly. However, it does annoy the dwarves, so if you're willing to sacrifice some mood in exchange for very skilled doctors, that is an option, but maybe not the best idea necessarily. Then down here we have a little statue pointing out the entrance to the fort. I would assume that this is a monster notice. Sometimes where creatures will come in and topple statues, although I wonder if that's bugged still alongside of the doors. Doors are supposed to get knocked over by things like mega beasts and whatnot, but I don't think they currently do. So anyway, down here on the entryway, we do have a baron who's just hanging out right there, as well as some wagons that are trading. We are the capital, so there is going to be some endgame stuff in this fort. There's a nice little well set up over here and a bunch of cage traps that I'm assuming they kind of route the baddies through upon having to come in and fight. Although this may also be for training purposes. It's a little bit hard to tell off the bat. That's a water zone right there, and they're definitely using this aquifer for some stuff, which we'll have to check into as we go down. As we move down into the fortress, there's a small barracks here in this very boxy kind of zone. I really wish this was more natural looking. It's kind of an ugly layer personally, but I really prefer these kinds of more natural looking caves to just a straight line kind of Minecraft strip mining style. It's just not something I'll ever personally do, but I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. A bunch of lemonite right here, tons and tons of ore in these layers, so it's definitely going to be a very wealthy fortress. 200 population, and as we slowly move our way down, because we're going to need to get to the second cavern layer, so it's going to take a little bit of going before we get there. But a smaller map size, this one, and a very tall first cavern layer, or a very tall second cavern layer. Is this actually the second cavern layer? Damn, it is. There's goblin caps. All right, so let's take a peek, shall we? We've got a little sets of wine barrels down here, and then if we hit Z, we can take a peek around. We can see the golden houses, which is their hospital. We have a very small set of beds, dormitory type deal. Then we have a little guild hall, or a little tavern, not a guild hall. The icons are almost identical. A little public tavern with a bunch of servers as well as performers. Over here on the right, we have a little set of offices and whatnot. This one is set to the secret lover, the king. Wait, is that like the secret lover of of a queen or something? Why are you labeled secret lover? That's interesting. A deep thinker. Oh, maybe it's just like the kind of the way they act around the fortress. That's kind of interesting. There's a scroll on the ground here. Does discourse on study. The rollers are made from orthoclase. The written item is an essay entitled "Discourse on Study" and authored by Kivish. How great! The prose is great. That's fantastic. We have the Baron of Wade Wire right there as well, and just a few other characters around here. We have another Baron who is a little goblin. That's kind of fun. Now, I wonder, are these barons of this faction? Are they like barony here? No, they're not. So I wonder if these are these barons that came to visit and just became members of this faction? Because that's always fun. I mean, we can see that they are a citizen of the Ocular Canyons, which is that our civilization here? Our site government... Yeah, no, that's interesting. So, like, goblins as part of this dwarven faction, also named Zulban, so very much a dwarven cultured goblin. somewhat scatterbrained. It's always interesting to see goblins that are like completely culturally adapted into dwarven society. Down here we have some large animals. We have a giant badger cub. I really hope that these are going to get giant baby sprites with the upcoming baby patch. I'm looking forward to that very much so. A giant ibex that's trained, as well as a giant dingo that is tame. Well, congratulations. And there's also, this is kind of rad, an Olm person chiefess who's hanging out here. Hopefully this person moves in at some point. This tavern really just kind of continues all the way down into here, but I kind of got distracted by that initial room. Over here we have some other stuff. Of course, there are walkways underneath all this, so we're going to need to go through all this. I really like how you're using the spires, like kind of the exact opposite issue of like the kind of non-organic shapes that are up at the top of this fortress. I love how organic this fortress is. Like the fact that it's just built into the like stalagmites, I think it is, or stalactites, or whatever the term is for caves. Then over here we have a guild hall, which is a Craftsdwarf's guild hall. Right next to it, we have a very valuable guild hall for the Horay Lizard, the Guild of Tweeting, a Twitter guild. Oh boy, the Farmer Guild. And then over here we have the Cyclopean Year, which is another guild hall, which is a doctor's guild. Very smart to have a doctor's guild because doctors will go and just teach other dwarves doctoring. We have a couple offices and a few more offices. It's kind of an office district over there. And then as we move down, you can kind of see that there's a bunch more offices. It seems like kind of just everybody gets an office in this fort. That or there's just a bunch of offices just made. That's the manager's office right there. A lot of these aren't really assigned to anybody, though, it seems. Maybe they just kind of, as dwarves become noteworthy, they get an office in this fort. That would be kind of a neat way of running it. There's a big old dining hall, which is located right beneath the tavern over here in the middle. And that water from all the way up there is dribbling down and appears to be going, down kind of through this corner here, and then dribbles down through here into this, and then just, I'm assuming, out of the fortress. But generates a nice little bit of mist right there. Then if we move over here, there's a bunch of temples around here, one to every single god. I've seen more and more people doing this, just these tiny little temple zones en masse until they get requests for bigger ones, which is kind of what I've started doing too. I find it to be quite efficient. And then over here we have some bigger offices for the queen, it appears. Yeah, it seems to be royalty quarters, as well as a separate King's Guard training barracks, and a separate cathedral over there, and a tiny little thing called the Vault of Caves. Now, is this attached to a bigger library, or is this just a tiny personal library assigned to somebody? Because that's kind of neat. I mean, it does say there's 77 books over there. We'll have to keep digging, see if there's more library spaces. And then over here, just some more offices and whatnot for the Baron. As we move down, more offices and dining rooms and bedrooms and such kind of spread around. This is the mayor's quarters, it appears. We have another worker hall here, and then in the center, I love it when people do this. Just pedestals with these artifacts on presentation here. This is a praise barrel, a gem barrel. I usually just let them fill them up with booze, but we got gems, we've got figurines, we got rings, we've got a dildo or a scepter, as some people call them. We've got swords, we've got various earrings and whatnot, and then we have, of course, the great army of guard geese, which every fortress needs in order to function even remotely mildly. Then down here we have 2 temples and some more temples in the middle. And in the middle here, there's just a big old meeting area. And then down here is the main Vault of Caves library. Ooh, look at this guy. We have a necromancer creature. So these creatures are, of course, made due to experiments. If you want to figure out if something is a demon or a necromancer creature, definitely check their description, because it'll say who made them. So this creature was made by the dwarven necromancer Bim. I was after experiments on the human bycat by the necromancer Bim. So a dwarven necromancer experimented on humans and created this creature, which is an eyeless humanoid, 3 narrow tails, charcoal skin that is warty, and this night creature was created. So if it says this night creature was created by something, then it's a night creature and not a demon. But I've seen some people like confusing those dudes with demons and angels. They're not. They're just night creatures. And then in the center here, we have the main library. There's a fearless stalker over here. I kind of like that name. And then, of course, many books. I'm not going to go reading through all of them because there is, like 77 in here. I would like to note that there is also writing material here. So if you add in some scribes down here at the bottom, and then this is the number of copies that they will make of each book. So if you add in a couple scribes down to the bottom, they will start copying the books, and you can sell the copies if you want. They're not very valuable, but it is kind of a fun side activity, in my opinion. And then as we move down a little bit more, there's some crafting down here in the center, as well as water drainage. And then some more crafting, and then a bunch of bedrooms kind of up here on the top here with the Gloved Peaches, which of course is another tavern for residents only. That's I guess the residential district tavern. And then down here we got more water drainage for the main mist generator, I think, as well as a bunch of stockpiles for various things. And then down here is just kind of a little entryway for big meanies to get caught and like not really cause problems in the fortress optimally. And then it looks like it can just kind of leave. I mean, that doesn't seem that wise, but... and then as we move down, there's just some stone, and then we can go down into the third cavern layer. Ooh, you've got my favorite cavern layer type. I always love to point these out when I see them. It's full of stray tamed giant dingoes. And giant bed. I mean, I guess that's a choice. That's one way to defend from down here. We have the permanent bedrooms down here for those that won't stand again. But the reason this is my favorite type of cavern layer is if you set it to ASCII, it looks blood red. And I used to always get so excited when I would stumble. Oh, wow, that's just a very vile spot in a moment. But I would always get so excited when I would stumble into cavern layers where it's just red. I love the look. It's just the straight bloodthorn in the mud just looks awesome, and especially cool in ASCII. But damn, that's a lot of blood down there. There's a forgotten beast down here named Amos. The Expanse sends its regards because that looks like Amos to me. But let's see what this thing is because I'm curious. A towering feathered chameleon. It has a round shell and it undulates rhythmically. Its blue feathers are downy. Beware its poisonous vapors. Well, of course we'll beware its poisonous vapors. Big vapor monster. Then over here we have magma forges, as well as a siege workshop and all that stuff, and of course lava. And then we can go down a little more, and they've got a big old F in the middle, just areas that they were trying to dig in and encountered stuff they couldn't dig through. So cool fort. I really like Cavern forts. They're some of my favorites, especially like with these kind of forced vertical designs. This is a smaller map, so it's definitely going to force you to build even more vertically, but I think this is a lovely little fortress, and I just wanted to say thank you very much to jahwffrey for sending in this fortress for me to have a look at on this show. It's always fun to kind of just go over and take a look at the creative designs here, and I've seen actually some trends pick up in these fortresses, and I've heard a lot of reports of people, watching this show and then taking the inspiration from this show and then trying to replicate it in their own forts. So it's awesome to see, and I just want to say thank you very much for sending in this fortress to this show so that I can have a look at it. If you'd like to support me and the work I do here directly, you can do that via my Patreon or by picking up a piece of merch that you can see on the screen right now. And I just wanted to say, once again, thank you to everybody who watches these videos. You know, like Dwarf Fortress is in a little bit of a lull right now. I think a lot of people played a lot during December and kind of burnt out, and we're kind of between updates. So if you're looking forward to the next update, let me know down in the description. And if you're taking a break from the game, what have you been playing recently? I'm a little bit curious. If you're still playing, what are you working on? I'd love to know. Let me know down in the comments section. And thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.